Good afternoon. Today we're going to go through a kind of a hidden legacy feature. So when you get to the splash screen here, you just hit the back button. This is kind of a legacy onboarding. And what we're going to do today is add demo models. And we're going to select none here. And we'll just add the dwarf. So we'll click the Add Selected button at the bottom. And I'm going to leave the camera off this time. And when we get to the crash prone screen, we just click through. And we can see that the dwarf is animated and running. And we're going to dismiss this center dialog here. Just as an aside, you'll notice that we only have two meshes here. We have the body and the body. And the body is actually the axe. If we tick that top checkbox, you'll see that their axe is no longer visible. And if we reverse it, we see that we only have the axe. So you can control what meshes are drawn and hidden using this section up here. But the other thing we can do here is we go to materials. You'll see that we have little texture swatches. And this material 2 isn't actually applied to the model. But if we tap the texture for material 1, we get this pop-up, and this is kind of cryptic, but what it means is that this green dwarf texture up here on top is what we're currently using, and we do have other alternatives below. For example, if I select the axe texture, it's going to look weird, but good for demonstration purposes. Now we've got the same texture applied to both the character dwarf and the axe, and it is the, you can see the blade on his stomach, the edge of the blade. But what we really want to do is try this other texture. So we'll go back to material 1 and select the red dwarf texture. And then what we should see here is that we've changed the look of the character. So this is one way to play around with alternate textures on models, is using this little feature. Limitation right now is it only applies to diffuse textures. The roadmap includes specular normals and opacity textures. Those are pretty frequently encountered. But for now, it's just diffuse, unfortunately. And then finally, another thing to point out here in this right-hand drawer is load flags. We can change any of these plethora of load flags and reload the model using the load button right there. So for example, if we unflip the UVs, nothing's changed yet, but if we do load model there after a moment, we'll reload and we see why we flipped the UVs in the first place, because the model expects the UVs to be flipped. If we reflip the UVs and reload the model, then we can see that we went back to our previous original texture, which is actually not reflected there, and it should be, so that's a little bit of a bug. But anyway, you get the idea that you can change the turn on or off meshes, apply different diffuse textures using the materials, and change the load flags over here in the right-hand drawer. I hope that's been of some use, and thank you for watching.